Hi again, friends. We've seen the unboxing of this previously. There's an audio demo recorded. I'm not entirely sure what order those are going to go up in, but so if this is the first, then look for the others. If you've already seen the others first, then you've already seen them, so no point to elaborate there. Anyway, what we have here, 1973 Ram's Head Big Muff. And what I have here, Topo Chico mineral water carbonated. Not carbonated mineral water. It says right here, mineral water carbonated. Don't get those two mixed up. And delicious it is. Though you can taste the mineral. A little bit of salt in there. Don't love that. All right. Going to crack into this guy today. Now, I've already been in here briefly to change the battery. Or to install a battery. Because I wanted to hear it. These little sheet metal screws, I'm most certain are not original. So those will probably not be going back. Find something else that is. Okay. Now, one thing I want to do is clean the glue off there, but I'll save that. I was gonna say I don't think that's interesting and you guys don't want to watch it, but honestly, like, you guys do like watching some of that stuff, I think. So that's awesome. I mean, as do I. You know, I like the detail, getting into it, tear them down videos, looking at all that stuff. So we have original jacks, original switch, original pot. By original switch, I mean this one. Not original switch here. Not original battery clip. Not original switch, or not original pot in the middle. The tone pot. Well, I think we're going to take it all apart. Yes, we're going to take it all apart. Starting with these reactor knobs, reactor tower knobs, cooling tower knobs, whatever you want to call them. The coolest knobs on a Ram's Head Big Muff is what I call them. Man, I hate it when knobs get stuck on vintage things and you just like don't quite know how much pulling is appropriate. This one I'm not too worried about because yikes. Okay, so all right. Somebody took a regular pot, split it down the middle with a grinder, took it too far, realized that, and came back with some electrical tape to wrap around it and make it fit. I wonder if that's even a 100K pot. That would be interesting because I found this really scooped in almost all the settings. So, all right, here, let me put it to you like this. I've never built a Big Muff circuit before myself, but as I understand it, the tone pot is actually a balance pot between two fixed tone circuits, one that's a high pass, one that's a low pass. And so in the middle, if you have a linear pot, and it's the right pot value, you've got roughly flat. The low frequencies coming in here and the high frequencies, they don't come and meet like this. They come and pass down this way, and then this one passes. So you do still get a scoop, but then as you start taking one down more than the other, the scoop becomes more intense. So if that's not a linear pot, then that middle position won't be flat-ish. Like it won't be anything close to flat. And if it's not a 100K pot, then stuff happens. I don't know what. I'd have to think about that. Not just look at the schematic, and probably best to just listen to it. But because of what this is and how valuable it is, this is not going to be monkeyed around with. This is going to get a nice restoration. What else I've just realized here? Kind of a notch. Somebody took a bite out of it. It's kind of punctured there. I bet somebody did that on purpose to run a power adapter in for the battery. Why are people insane like that? It's like, this thing's sheet metal. You can just bend it a little and slide it in. Also, a battery in here would last forever, but I get it. Okay, you want to just never think about batteries on your board. I get that. But there's no need to go chewing up the metal frame to get one in there. It's like a wah pedal. People drill a hole in the side. Like, really? You couldn't just slip the little, like this kind of wire. You couldn't just slip that between the two sheets. It would look cleaner. It's less work. You know, even if you don't care about being vintage correct or whatever, like it's less work. You'd think that would be a draw to the kind of people who don't care about it being vintage accurate. All right. I don't think these are the original nut and washer. Well, we know that's not. Okay. Now we get to have a look and see what really happened here with this funky pot, because it was definitely a funky replacement job. All right, we'll clean that up. Not yet. Let's set it aside for now. Let's have a look at this. The Ram's Head Big Muff. Okay, so, oh man, this is beautiful. This is an early board. These are Fairchild. I'm almost certain. Like nearly positive. In fact, I'm going to just go ahead and state it. These are Fairchild transistors. Code on them is FS36999. Is there another code on that one? Yes, there is. 335. So there were two brandings that made their way onto these transistors. One is the actual Fairchild part number, and another was what they call a house part number for whoever bought them, which was not Electro-Harmonix originally. Whoever initially ordered them from Fairchild wanted their own part number put on them. Sometimes that's done to kind of dissuade people from copying things and make it difficult. Sometimes it just is, you know, you have your in-house part numbers and everything for this product starts with 215, and you know your brand is 35, whatever. And so companies do that. So the ones that ended up in the big muffs were any combination of those two part numbers or both of them stamped onto each transistor. That is normal and expected. All right. There's some crustiness on this pot. We're going to clean that off. Of cleaning brushes here. I'm going to go for this one. This is a mil-spec rifle cleaning brush. I think these were issued with the M16s in Vietnam. Seriously. Could have been the M14s before that, but I think this was part of that, like, keep your rifle seriously lubricated and clean kit that was necessary for the M16s. I'm not going to clean that pot because I don't care about that pot. Now, look at this. This is something I'd like to talk about here. You see how these tabs... Where's my poking stick? I mean, my pointing stick. Right here and here. They look like they are pried up a bit. And at first, I thought when I was seeing that on these pedals was that these were these tabs were soldered on too tightly, and so this couldn't actually go straight. And then when the nut was tightened down onto the case, it lifted the bushing up away from the body of the pot. However, I've seen that on like not all, but almost all of the Electro-Harmonix pots. So maybe that's just a thing. Maybe they just were made kind of loosely at a time. This looks like guitar polish. That same white stuff is in here. I'm going to hold it that way so it doesn't fall into the pot, because I'm not entirely an idiot. Might need to find a smaller brush to get in there. Maybe even some alcohol. This one too. So you can see here that this is the wrong kind of pot used, and it's somebody had to solder some jumpers to reach across there. This resistor, it kind of looked in the photo as if it was broken, but I think perhaps I was seeing this leg here at an angle, and it kind of looked as if it was disconnected, because sure enough, that's on there just solid and fine. I don't see any problem with that at all. Pretty cool how they did these things. See, one thing that's a cause of the indicators, these little dots on these knobs, or whatever knobs you might have, never lining up right, is because the pots are all facing different ways. So here's the start, here's the stop. Here's the start, here's the stop. Here's the start, here's the stop. So there's just, you know, you would have thought that there's enough room on the circuit board that they could have had all three pots wrap over the top instead of having these two wrap one way and that one wrap the other. There's certainly the room for that. I mean, there's tons of extra room on here, but that's just how they did it. And they kept doing that for a very long time. Like EHX stuff doesn't have pots, knobs with dial indicators that line up with anything for a very long time. Like maybe even into the 80s, into the 70s for sure. Like deep into the 70s, all the way into the 70s. Okay, I see 4 germanium clipping diodes down in here for the, I think that's the Q2 and Q3 section. Although maybe it's Q1 and Q3. I'm not going to worry about that right now. What I'd like to see is the dates on these 2 pots and what value pot this is. And I'm a little nervous about that because this is all where like the shadiest connections are. Dates should be on this side of the pot. So this one's probably going to be the easiest to look at. Let's really hope and pray that this does not break. 1974. Okay, so this is not a 1973 because you can't go into the future and pick up a pot and then bring it back into the past and build a pedal with it. So I wonder if I can see the value of the pot. Well, it's look at that. I've never noticed that before. It says vol. It says volume under the pot. See that there? In case you forget. I want to, if I can, read the full part number off that pot. Well, it's lifted up like that. I need a really bright light to do that. I'm going to put it up here. Okay, maybe I can bend it a little more. Not hate myself. Okay. XM2184. I'm pretty sure that's the same thing you see on all the 100K pots. Now that I have this lifted a bit, I'm going to try and get the brush in there a little better. I'm going to get some alcohol on this brush. I wasn't planning to give this thing a full service tonight. But we might. Well, no, I'm not, because I can't. I don't think I have a 1974 pot with which to give it a full service. So I'm going to need to find one. I can only do so much tonight. Trying to be very gentle, be careful of that electrolytic capacitor there. Maybe even get in there with a little bit of a dental tool. Put my glasses on. Or if I should just open that pot up and clean it. I'm going to do it. Now is the time to do it. It's never going to be in a better position to be cleaned thoroughly. And it's mighty crusty. Okay, there goes the case. Yeah, it's pretty gross in there. It really looks like guitar polish. Can you see that? How crusty that is. Like toothpaste crusty. It's not cool. Glad we got that out. And the rest of the pot's gonna look mighty gross just the same. Indeed it does. Okay, so let's get this all out of here. Oh yeah. Yuck. Nasty stuff. Look at this. Pretty awful. Okay, I gotta get a little container. I might have to step out and grab one. Let's see. Sometimes I have something like that sitting here handy. Other times I don't. All right, I'll be right back. Okay, little container here. I'll let this soak for a minute, but I'm going to kind of try and get that started. Very careful. That's the actual wiper that contacts the carbon trace on the pot. You really want to baby that. You want to baby the whole thing, but that's where the electrons flow through. That is literally where the magic happens. Okay. Gross. I should probably put on some gloves. Halfway through, at least gonna take off that ring. Hey, got my non-conductive plastic fall camo ring, or swampy marsh camo stuff, camo pattern. Just kind of looks like a gray marble pattern to me. But, you know, if I was ever hunting ducks, they wouldn't know I was married because my ring's camo. Okay. Wipe this off. That was massively nasty, wasn't it? And this side here is the worst. Let's see what we can do. And this is the actual carbon trace, so another place to be critically careful. The little ring in the center there is where one end of the wiper meets. It's not a carbon trace, it's just a conductor. And then the other end of the wiper follows around on that black material, which is the carbon trace. And that's what provides your increasing resistance as you go from one lug to the other. I'd like to see how they make those. I mean, I'm sure today it's printed, but how did they make it back then for different tapers? It would be pretty fascinating, at least to me. Of course, don't want to leave that little fibers from the towel behind that can get caught up in the wiper. Okay, so I'll let that, oh, maybe I get inside here a little bit better. Sorry if I'm going off camera. Honestly, I'm a little bit more focused on doing a good job here than I am on keeping the camera focused. I think we'll do these one pot at a time and put them back in rather than taking them both apart. Not for any real reason, just that this looks like it's about done and ready to go. Though it does prevent mixing anything up. They should be the same pot. Might have different date codes. Now, the super intelligent and dorky among you may be thinking to yourselves, but didn't you just flush all the lube out? Yes, indeed. I certainly did. Although I don't think there was any left to begin with. Uh-oh. Get out of there. Got caught for a second. So I'll be putting more in. Not deoxit. Well, kind of. Not F5 or D5. But fader grease. And this is actually a more viscous type of lubricant for exactly the very thing that we're doing here. That is the whole point. Now, there's another little thing I'll do here. this burnishing tool I've liked to mention before occasionally. I'm going to hit these just a little bit. Just kind of buff them up a bit with it. Where it counts. Same thing over here. And just a little raise up there. Make sure there's still plenty of spring action. Same with these guys. Hey, since we're talking about big muffs, let me give a little shout out to Dinosaur Jr. My son, who's 2, like all 2-year-old boys, is seriously into dinosaurs. He also found out that there's a band called Dinosaur Jr. and he is really into that idea. And he likes their music now. I don't know if he really likes their music like on its own or he just likes it because now he associates it with their name, but he requests it. So we've been listening to some Dinosaur Jr. And there's a lot worse things you could listen to in the world than that. Oh, sorry, I lost track of my own point, which happens quite often. I found out that while looking for some live shows of theirs, because I just wanted to put something on and not be interrupted by commercials or track skipping or other whatever. I wanted to put on a whole live show, take it all in. And I was thinking, well, let's look for some stuff in the 90s. Now, I've seen them twice. I saw them at a festival once in the 90s, and I saw Jay Mascis later. I don't think it was billed as Dinosaur Jr. I think it was just billed as Jay Mascis. I don't remember who he opened up for. I think it was either Stone Temple Pilots or Soundgarden at that show. Both awesome acts, awesome shows. And what I found while looking for some live shows was that they were doing international dates in the 1980s. Playing the same kind of style, too. Now, the rig was a little different. It was a little bit more straight, like guitar into cranked Marshalls kind of thing. It wasn't such a creamy thing, so I don't know if the fuzz face was happening yet. Kind of a trademark of the sound now, but at that point, I don't know if it was. But they were pretty much playing the same kind of music, you know? And so, as it turns out, Dinosaur Jr., seriously, old school OG originators. It's like they were doing their thing, and then the 90s came around, and eventually the thing that they were doing happened to become popular, and then they became really popular. But they'd been doing it all along, as it turns out. Isn't that neat? I think so. Okay, let's get this guy back together with some fader grease. Okay, so you want that where this thing meets and makes contact. So really in here. Get a clean Q-tip. I just want to make sure things are dry. The alcohol will still eventually evaporate, but let's try and help it along. Oh yeah, that feels nice. It's the good stuff, man. Okay. Now I also want to get a little bit in the brass bushing inside. Just a little bit. That'll help it to feel nice. Both ends. Both ends will be supported by grease. Okay. Do we have everything? Yes. We're ready for reassembly? Yes. Is the trace clear, clean, dust free? I know, I'm still out of compressed air, but I actually ordered some. It's on the way. There's some pretty cool little electronic air pump devices now for electronics use. So you don't have to buy canned air. You can now... Is that bushing bent? No, it's straight. Just looking at it funny. You can now get a little can-shaped device that it has a motor in it, and it creates its own airflow at a pretty high velocity. First, I was pretty skeptical, and then I saw videos of people blowing wet leaves around with them. I was like, okay, if that video is not fake, that's awesome, and I want it. Okay, this is the precarious part where we try and wrap these guys back around without breaking anything. Let's just make sure everything's going together well. It feels amazing. It feels better than a brand new pot. So I can't do that middle pot replacement tonight because I don't have another 100K 1974 Electro-Harmonix pot. So what I'll probably have to do is see if I have or can find a damaged 1974 Electro-Harmonix pedal that has a suitable 100K pot and also has, oh man, that feels so nice, also has a replacement foot switch and battery jack. Then it's gotta be 100% restored. Okay. I don't know if that capacitor is supposed to be under the pot or over it. I have to review that. Get another just kind of like still shot of this circuit board here, because at some point I'm probably going to want to check a value on something. Looks like this cap is a 0.05, one under the other here. There's a 1 microfarad. This guy's also a 1 microfarad under the replaced pot. This looks like another big one. Yes, it is. This one here. Hard to say. Oh, it's a 0.05. Okay, just like this other guy over there. What's this one? This one's a 0.01. These little guys, looks like they're 470. So 4.7, I guess, probably 470 nanofarads. I don't know. We'll see. This one just says 100 volt A18. It's C9. I'm not going to try and pry that up because it's on there pretty good. And these little electrolytics, Eberson, they're 10 microfarad, 6 volts. All three of them are the same. Which side is the input? This side is the input. Interesting. Okay. All right, well, one pot down. One more to go. Just look at that. Doesn't that look about 1,000,000 times better than it did when we got into it? Let's do the next one. Now these are already pried up. Oh, I'm going to move the pot. It says that's the sustain. And that's also a 1974. Okay. So I probably called this a 73 previously in my video because it had all the indicators of being a 73, but it looks like it's a 74. So my apologies. I wasn't trying to squeeze a year in on you. Gross crustiness again. Yeah, these are just disgusting. Okay, and this this wafer here, look at this. Look, I don't know if I showed you a close up of the other one, but look what I'm working with. Is that just awful or what? No, that's not like oxidization. It's not oxidized. That's it. It looks like polish. It's like somebody tried to clean this with who knows what, but not anything good. Or maybe they tried to re-lubricate it with something. I don't know. Whatever some person did to this was not good. Just kind of holding it in this alcohol bath there a little bit while I brush it off. This is high purity isopropyl, so I wouldn't do this with like 70% drugstore. There's too much water in it that you don't want in that carbon trace. Working pretty well. Now I could give it a shot of D5 after I do this, because that grease is actually going on the mechanical parts. it's not going on the trace. I could give it a shot of D5 to go on the trace and maybe help with contact. And I might do that. But honestly, because I know I'm going back into this pedal again in a few days or in a couple weeks or whatever, I'm going to not do that now. And that'll give these carbon traces a chance to fully dry out from any moisture that may be in that alcohol. Let's see, what is it? 91%. I should probably buy something even more pure than that if I can. And also, whatever that gunk was that I just removed from there, don't know what kind of moisture content that had. So I'm gonna, now that they've been cleaned with alcohol, and the alcohol is going to do its job and evaporate, they'll dry out. And I'll give it a little lube next time I open it back up, which will be very soon. I do see a little bit of wear on this one. On the trace itself, I mean. And it's at the maximum end of rotation, which is it's the sustain pot. That kind of makes sense. That's where it probably sees a lot of its use. Okay, I should have brushed these a little bit sooner, just to kind of break the surface of the crud, let the alcohol soak in there. So I'm just going to give each one a little light brushing right now. Knock the big chunks off of this toothpastey kind of stuff, whatever the heck it is. I'm going to set this aside too. Oh boy. Try not to splash this in your eyes, James. Won't feel good. You'll regret it. Wear your safety glasses. I'm gonna splash this on my face. I'm quite sure of it. One 377403. Okay, so third week of 1974. Yeah, it's 1974 pot, but you can't really get any earlier than that. Which makes sense, because those reactor tower knobs, in my experience, you really only see those on the first ram's heads. Man, you guys enjoying this? Watching me take apart and clean a 1974 stack pole pot? These are stack pole, right? No, these are CTS. Yeah, 137. My brain goes to Stackpole when I see the open back design on this stuff. It makes me think of the Fenders ones in the 60s. The Fender ones. Honestly, as cool as those reactor tower knobs are, and they look like volume knobs from, like the volume power combination knobs from old CRT televisions, like little ones, like little 13-inch TVs where you click the volume up to turn it on and then turn it up for the volume, or maybe pull it out. They're not they're awesome aesthetically. They're super cool. They're my favorites. I love them, but they're really not the best on this big muff, this ram's head, because it's so sensitive. Like it goes from the gain sounding thick to sounding fizzy, like in a 16th of a turn, and it goes from the mid range being scooped and entirely non-existent to being kind of, it's there, but now it's dark. It's getting dark, like a quarter hair past. There's your mids, over like, I don't know, maybe an eighth of a turn. So it's really, really sensitive. And some big wide knobs would help you dial that in a little better. Like Gibson speed knobs, or those big round knobs that they use on some other ones, which were probably the UHF and VHF knobs on a TV. That's what they look like to me, and it's around that time frame. Okay. Burnishing tool again. Give it a little burnishing of the wipers. The actual contacts on the wipers. And these over here too. 4 contacts on each pot. You can see the brass. I probably did that more than necessary, but it's these things were mighty crusty, and I do not want to take them apart again because of how they're soldered on. They're very fragile. Oh yeah, lift the springs a little bit. Just make sure everybody's got some tension. Looks like it's pretty good, but just make sure. Okay, let's get these guys out of here. Yeah, I mean, look at that now. How's that? Literally squeaky clean. Listen. Squeaky clean. I need a clean piece of paper towel. It's gonna be nice. I don't baby all my gear. Some of it deserves it. Oh, I never did check if that middle pot was 100K linear. I really want to. Please don't let me forget. You in the blue shirt, you remind me, okay? Don't let me forget. That's important. I mean, it's not that important because I'm going to swap it out anyway. But it's important because I'd like to know. Okay. And let me get this. Another little cleaning with some alcohol and a Q-tip in here. Make sure we got all the nasty, nasty, nasty gunk out of it. And then I'll do the same with the dry one. Right here. See what that rubbing alcohol is doing to my fingers. Drying my fingers right out. Okay. I think that's that for that. Put the lid on this because it's kind of grimy and nasty. Probably just dump it out. Not yet. Okay. Fader grease. A little bit in here too. Okay, it might look like I'm putting a lot in there, but it's going to mostly push out when I assemble it. Okay. Now here's the question. Should I leave those front two lugs historically correctly improperly installed? Oh, I'm not laughing because it's a silly thing to consider. I'm laughing because it's a real consideration for me. And the fact that it's a real consideration is silly. I'm just going to press them down. And they'll go where they want to go. I'm not going to force them. Just going to make sure they're secure. Okay. What did you guys think between the triangle and the ram's head from the audio demo? Do you have a favorite? Okay, here's where we don't want to break it. What did you think, if you listened to it, between the two bad stones, the two bad stone phasers? That interests me because I'm not yet certain which one I'm going to keep or which one I'm going to include in the shootout. And it could be either or both for both. I got a lot of duplicates, so I have two phase 90s, two script logo phase 90s, two 70s bad stones. It's kind of redundant. I don't really need to do that. Let's see what this is. Is it a 100K pot? Huh. Oh, we don't know. 321 104 1 9928. Looks like a CTS pot. And it does say tone under there, and that cap value is 1 microfarad. I think we covered that already. Oh, this is a little bit. Okay. Let's see if we can measure it. I don't know if we can, because I don't know what else is in parallel with it in circuit, but we could try. Well, it's reading about 60K. Yeah. So that's fairly inconclusive because it just means there's some other parallel resistance. This one's reading 101. This one's reading... It just started climbing. It was reading from 60 and then to 88. So there's a capacitor involved there, taking my voltage from the meter. Okay. Well, I think I'm done for the evening. So, yeah, I'm gonna put it back together loosely. Oh no, got a little bit more to do here. Let's get this guy. Let's get this first. Not pretty. Let's see if we can push that back down to something. A round tool, kind of. Sort of roll it back. No, that's not gonna do it, is it? Yeah, all right. I'm not gonna mess with that right now, although I will clean the surface. I think that's the thing that's best done with the press. So that's what I'm gonna do, and I can't do it on camera in here right now. Guys, I don't think I need to tell you, but if you're not using Delaney brand naphtha, you know where you stand. Fix yourself. I'm very careful right here. I may not even put it back together because it's got the wrong screws for this. I can still put the guts in. The inside, pretty gross. I wonder if there was a piece of, there's like some kind of tape there. Maybe I should put a piece of tape back there, protect it. A lot of flux splatter. I don't know how much that's original and how much that's from the switch replacement. Actually, it's probably none of it's. Well, I don't know. I don't know if Electro-Harmonix originally assembled the switch in the box or out of the box. I was going to say they probably did it out of the box and then put all the guts in at once. But you never know. You know, they used to sell Big Muff kits. I mentioned that previously. I'm repeating myself. But in case you didn't watch it, for about 20 bucks less, you could buy a kit of a Big Muff, Screaming Bird, a Black Finger, and LBP1. I don't know what else. I don't know if the Bad Stone was out yet or not. Okay. All right. Man, let me give another shout to somebody else who's super awesome in my life lately, and that's Scott at BMF Effects, who's been a friend for years, but lately, as I've been dorking around with the pedal stuff, which is really his area of expertise, he's been very kind to help me with questions. Today he rattled off a whole list of early MXR pedals that would have 100K pots that might be suitable for this, because I knew the pot had been replaced before I bought it, and that's just really awesome. So I can kind of dig through my stash and what's for sale, see if I can find something. These are some grimy washers. I don't know, or sorry, they're nuts, they're not washers. I don't know if I can do anything to help them right now. It's soaking in some kind of oil. They have products that are like rust removers. I don't know if I'm going to do all that. Maybe I'll do a little naphtha. Tell you what. These rusty screws too. Just a little. Just a little. A little naphtha. I wonder if I should try doing one of these live sometime, like a restoration or something. It's hard to do pickups because there's machines like, and, I'm moving around. It's not all done in one place. There's stuff happening here, there, and there, and different rooms, and so it's kind of hard to do pickups. But this is just kind of like sitting at the bench here. Even guitars are, because they're so big. I have one right at my feet. Les Paul with a broken headstock. Want to see it? In the chainsaw case too. Check this out. This is on my bench for later. My friend Bill's gold top fell off a stand. Obviously, took a dive. I heard it. So it's clean break. That one's actually had. Hang on. I don't know if you can hear me down here. That is not its first headstock break. So that one's been around the block before. I'm not really expecting this naphtha to do much, but it will leave kind of a little bit of protection on them. I don't really want to make it look, new. That's not the point. Okay. I'll let that sit for a minute. I'm gonna absorb that and throw it out. What else? Oh, yes. Let's see if we can get that rubber cementy kind of stuff out of here. There are solvents for softening rubber cement, and I have one, maybe two, but they might also wreck the rubber pad in this case because it's old rubber, and they might mess with the Tolex covering on this. So I don't think we're going to play with those. I'm going to try and just peel off what I can from this. Not terribly stressed about getting it all off at all. If I can get off the big chunks, I'll be happy. Then I gotta go. It's getting late. Oh yeah, look at that. Coming right off. This is pretty mind-numbing to watch, right? You guys watching this? Am I even on camera and in focus? I don't know. It's working really well, though. dental picks seem to work better. Gosh, my fingers are trash from the alcohol and naphtha. I'm gonna try a little naphtha on it just to see. I don't think it's gonna do much. I've already got the majority off. Ooh, there it goes everywhere. Works okay. I don't know if I'm on camera. Oh, that is working. I think. Got a plastic brush here. That seems quite effective. Hey, naphtha did a good job there. I think I'm gonna try a little more. This is working great. It's going to make a mess of my workbench, but it's working great to get this stuff off. Here we go.